Please don't take this lightly, but right now, there is a setup that if you capitalize just right, you deploy stocks and options just right, in a way that only a few investors really understand right now, you could capitalize and create generational wealth and set your family up for the future and simply win in the stock market once and for all. And I plan to use it to capitalize and scale my 7-figure account. So, in order to make all this make sense and bring it all together to really understand where we're at, what to deploy to, and how to make money, I have 4 critical images you have to look at right here to help your brain wrap your head around the magnitude of the situation right now, of how to capitalize and how to deploy your money just right. So this right here is image 4 of 4. You're going to be like, Brandon, what the heck? It's a boat and a river. I don't understand why this matters to the stock market. This is everything for the stock market. The boat is the stock that you buy. That's like the Nvidia or the Palantir or the Apple. The river, that is a macro environment that we are operating within. How is the economy doing? How are valuations, earnings per share growth, interest rates? In order to make money and do good on your boat, you have to understand where the river is going. And in order to do good on the river, you have to pick the right boat. So in this video, we're going to go through all 4 of these different scenarios right here. And you're going to come to a conclusion of where we are at right now. And then use that conviction to take it to the market and actually capitalize and deploy money in a way that makes sense. So if we look at this scenario right here, do we think that this is favorable? Is this a time to want to invest when you're in a boat that doesn't really look like it's going to go that fast and the current's going against you? No, of course not. A lot of people try to invest in times like this, like maybe the current, maybe the macro, the market's a bubble. Maybe inflation, it's out of control. Maybe something bad is happening. And then they go get in a bad boat at the same time. Maybe the revenue's not growing good, the profits aren't growing good, the valuation's a bubble. Many people get in this situation right here, and then they wonder why their boat doesn't really go anywhere, right? Because they're investing at an unfavorable time. Let's go to the next scenario. How do we feel about this one right here? Do we think that this is a favorable time to invest? The current is helping you. The macro looks good. The earnings per share is good. The valuation is good. The economy is good. And interest rates are good. The current's helping you right there. But when you get in an average stock, you're probably going to make some money, but you're going to leave a lot of money on the table because you're not allocating to a speedboat. You're not allocating to something that's at a good valuation level with really good earnings per share growth. You're just buying an average company, and the trend of the river is just helping you go downstream. You'll make a little bit of money, probably, but you left a lot of money on the table, and there's a lot of opportunity cost because you didn't get in the right boat at the right time. So right here, you will make a little bit of money, but not as much as scenario 1, which we're going to get to in just a second. Let's go to scenario 2 of 4. Here's the big bad speedboat. This is the company that is boosting revenue like crazy, raising earnings per share. Profit margins are super fat. The valuation is super good. The guidance for the company looks great. Everything looks perfect on the company. That is the speedboat. But what if you get in that speedboat when inflation's out of control? Maybe oil is out of control. Maybe valuations are out of control. Maybe the economy is out of control. Maybe the unemployment rate is going out of control because we're in a recession. Even though you get in that speedboat at a time that you think it's perfect to get into it, if the current's going against you, your boat might go downstream a little bit, but man, the current could really go against you enough to actually make your speedboat go backwards and you can lose money. So this right here is not a favorable setup either. The setup that we're looking for is this right here. You want to buy the speedboat, the good company at a good price. And you also want to do that at a time that the macro is helping you. Earnings per share growth, economy, valuations, and interest rates. You want to invest when that stuff is helping you, when you have the current helping you, when you have the tailwind. So when you get the super good tailwind of the macro and you get in a really good boat at the same time, you would be shocked how fast the market could really go up. And that is honestly what we just saw happen in the market. We just saw this market go up over 30% in just a few months. So many people are calling it a bubble. So many people are saying this is unsustainable. But what you really did right here was you got in a speedboat, and you got into the speedboat when the river was helping you, when the current was helping you, when you were going downstream. So this is the power right here, this 33% ROI of allocating in a way that it makes sense to allocate. Okay, Brandon, I get it. What boat are we in right now and what river are we in right now? It depends. It depends on what companies you buy, what boats you buy. It also depends on where the river is at. So let's just figure it out. Let's figure out what river we are operating in right now. Is the river going with us or is it going against us? Take a look at this report that literally just came out. This is really, really, really important information to understand because this helps us build a thesis of what river are we in and where do we think we're going to go, right? Okay. Earnings per share growth. That is one of the four for how the river gets, classified. 21.9% year over year is the earnings per share growth that we're expecting. Is that good? Is that bad? I'll leave it at this. In the last 50 years, the S&P 500 has averaged about 10% per year. That 10% comes from the fact that earnings per share has been growing at 8 to 10% per year. This is more than double that. So that right there makes the river look like it's raging downstream that way. So it looks pretty good based on that, right? But it's only one of the four things for where the river's actually at. Take a look right here at the valuation. The forward 12-month price earnings ratio level for the S&P 500 is about 20. The 5-year average is about 20, which is basically the same, and a 10-year average is about 19, which is only a little bit lower from right here. So when we really understand that we are growing earnings per share more than double what is normal, and the valuation level is only just a little bit higher than normal, do we really think that's that bad? In my opinion, no. And if we take a look at this chart right here, which I talk about so many times on this channel, it's just another way to visualize it. The darker line is the S&P 500 earnings per share. The lighter line is the actual S&P 500 itself. So you could see that whenever the S&P 500 goes above where the earnings per share is at, the future returns don't really look that good going forward. And yes, right now we're above it, but just barely above it. And we're above it at a time that earnings per share growth is basically vertical, which is what we want to see. So by looking at this, 2 of the 4 boxes look pretty good for where the river's at. It looks like we're in a raging downstream river. Now, let's take a look at what's going on with inflation, because inflation dictates where interest rates are going to go. If inflation goes up and gets out of control, interest rates are probably going to go up to try to slow down the economy and bring inflation back down. What has been causing inflation recently? It's been the fact that oil has been getting completely out of control and going to the moon. What's been happening in the last 5 days? Oil's down about 7%. Why? We got to deal with Iran. Strait of Hormuz is going to have oil flowing through it. This is at a time that the US is ramping production, Venezuela is ramping production, other countries are ramping production. We might actually end up in a world where oil prices are lower than what it was starting pre-Iran. And I'm not saying it's going to happen next week or next month, but it could happen sooner than what we think. And when that happens, interest rates might actually fall, despite the market thinking we're going to raise interest rates this year. So that's kind of like a bullish tailwind that hasn't been priced into the market yet. So by looking at that, it's like 3 out of 4 look pretty good for the river going downstream, right? Well, let's close the loop on the last thing here. And this goes all the way back until 1950. This is the unemployment rate. Right now for May of 2026, I know the data is a little bit laggy, but it's basically the same. 4.3%. Is that good? Is that bad? What do we see? Well, let's keep it very simple. Does it look like it's towards the lower range of where the unemployment has been since 1950? Yeah. So the economy can't possibly be in a major recession right now if the unemployment rate is historically low. So by looking at these 4 scenarios again, the one that we are most likely in is where the current is helping us, where the river is helping us. So our job now is to just pick the right option strategy, the right company, and allocate in a way that makes sense. And then we should probably do really good going forward, right? It doesn't mean the market's going to be like straight up going to the moon like it just did the last couple months, but it just means that the setup is super heavily in your favor. So the way that I want to organize this and take a look at individual stocks is let's just go take a look at my stock sheet. This is updated in real time every single day for people in Discord. So by the time you're watching this, it's probably going to be a little bit laggy, but for the most part, it's going to be similar. If we look at the bottom right here, you could see the red. The red is obviously a bad boat. We don't want to get in these boats that aren't going anywhere. Some of these boats don't even have a motor, but some of these boats up here, they have like 6 motors and they're like jet engines that have a lot of power. I know these analogies are crazy, but like this is literally what matters to make money in the stock market. So even though we're in a good river, Some of these companies down here that have bad scores overall, the max score is 100, some of these bad companies are going to do good because the tide is just pushing them downstream. And look, I guess to clarify, I'm not saying that Costco is a bad company. I'm not saying that Palo Alto Networks is a bad company. I am not saying that Intel or Tesla or all these other companies are bad companies. I'm just saying that most of them are at a bad price. And when you're evaluating companies, 95% of the companies you look at, they're probably all going to be no's simply because the price is too high. Just saying that this phone right here, my iPhone, just saying that it's a great phone does not mean that you're willing to pay $50,000 for it. There's a price that you're willing to pay for something that's good. So you have to be able to say that about the stock market too. It's not a name your bid, name your price, I'll buy it at any price. You got to get enough value for the price that you're paying for something. Some of these companies are just simply too expensive. So that's why I have these metrics right here of how is the valuation, how is the growth, how is the moat overall, do they have a lot of execution risk, and how's the overall economy doing? The economy is more so like the river. How is the river doing right now? This stuff right here, these four, this is the boat. How good is the boat? So you want to have the highest score right here to know how you want to allocate. And obviously you can see everything for the economy gets the same score of a 22 out of 30 because they're all operating in the same river. So they're all going to get the same score. But what they're not going to get the same score about is the other stuff, the valuation, the growth, the moat, the execution risk. So take a look at something like NVIDIA right now. In my opinion, NVIDIA is about 77% of intrinsic value. To put that in English, look at the right-hand side here. The current price is about $211. I think the fair value is somewhere around $273. And if you just look at the growth, it's insane actually. Earnings per share is going up and to the right. The revenue is going up and to the right. And you're getting that for a forward price earnings ratio level of 21. NVIDIA is cheap in my opinion. And if this revenue and earnings per share growth holds up, it's going to be hard for the stock to not want to follow where the earnings per share goes in the long term. So I get it. NVIDIA lately hasn't been outperforming every single stock in the market, but that's largely because it has a $5 trillion market cap and that makes some people nervous. But with time, people will get used to these higher market caps because these companies are just making a lot of money and it's justified. So the goal here is, of course, buy a good company at a good price with good growth. I think NVIDIA fits the bill pretty good for that right now. I talk about Meta so many times. It's a very similar story for Meta. I talk about TSM all the time. It's a very similar story, but TSM, in my opinion, is a little bit expensive. So when you see these ones with a higher score towards the top, think of them as having like 5 engines, and TSM has like one really good engine on the boat. So it's doing good, but it's just not as compelling as these ones towards the top. If we look at something like a Broadcom, we'll look that one up. AVGO. Broadcom has a few engines running right now. It's a speedboat. It's operating in a good river. Earnings per share growth looks good. Revenue growth looks good. We see that the stock did a little bit of a pullback recently. Let me make this easier to see. This dip was justified. The stock just simply ran up too much, too fast. So when we take a look at the forward price earnings ratio level of 26 with pretty good growth, it's not as compelling as NVIDIA, but it is very compelling in my opinion. And it's kind of like a hedge in the whole AI space, because if you bet on NVIDIA and Broadcom, it's like, it's almost not going to happen that one of them is not going to win in the long term. I think they're both going to win in the long term, but you're just hedging yourself and having a little bit more diversity when you buy both because you're kind of doing two different sectors in the AI space. So I think it's a little bit safer to have both of them in your portfolio. And Broadcom, in my opinion, it's about 3% above fair value. So basically rate at it. Amazon is on the radar, a little bit above fair value, but it's still a good boat operating in a pretty good river. I have banks like Capital One, I have Salesforce, Bank of America, Google. Google is one that I recently added to my $1.5 million account. Market's moving around right now in real time. We're looking good today because we got the Iran deal. We capitalized how it made sense to capitalize. A lot of my bonds I took off the sidelines about a week ago, reallocated, redeployed, and we're just capitalizing on emotional humans in the stock market. And we are doing very, very well. I did pick up a little bit of Google, sold some puts and bought some shares. And you guys know what I do with my option strategy. I don't do 1 month options. I don't do 2 month options. I don't do cover calls and cash secured puts. That stuff doesn't work. And you're not going to believe me just yet, but you will come to a point in your life where you realize after investing for 12 years like me, people don't beat the market doing that stuff. The short game is a fool's game. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the short term. I don't know. You don't know. Warren Buffett doesn't know. Jimmy Buffett doesn't know. Nobody knows. So why do options, which is just a way to magnify something, why would you want to magnify something that you don't know? Because people just want to have excitement. They want to get that dopamine rush. I don't do stuff like that. I do stuff that makes money. And understanding the river, allocating towards the companies that are towards the top of this list right here, it's a pretty good place to start. So hopefully you got a little bit of value from this video right here. I know it's definitely untraditional, but I think it put things in perspective for you. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep it simple. I'm not trying to clickbait you guys. I'm not trying to just blow smoke up your butt. I know you guys are smart and you'll question everything. I read every single comment. I know you guys are always on top of everything that I say. But with that being said, that's the end of the video. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment below, hit the hype button, hit the share button, do all the good stuff if you appreciate videos like this. And with that being said, if you want to learn more about my stock option system, you got to watch the video right here. It's really going to help you out a lot. Or go click the link in the bio, 10-day stocks and options transformation. It will transform you and it will change your life. There's hundreds of 5-star reviews, and it's literally the cost of a Starbucks run to just really keep the scammers out of the Discord. So that's what I got. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.